Hey, Bay Area music fans, I'm Kenny Wardell from BAM Magazine, and it's my pleasure to welcome back to the Bay Area Jazzie Colin Young and his daughter Jazzie, one of the headliners of the Hardly Strictly Bluegrass Festival.
I've wanted to play it ever since it came about.
Jazzie's very familiar with the Bay Area, having grown up for a large portion of his life here. He had a recording studio in Marin County called Ridgetop.
And Jazzie has used that facility. She cut the tracks for her first EP.
In 2020.
In 2020, yeah.
Jazzie released a new album fairly recently, a couple of years ago now, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's really excellent. And it has a different version of his song Ridgetop. Ridgetop's one of my favorite songs of all time, so it was a real treat to pop it into the machine and hear a new version of it come out.
Live on a ridgetop, Lord knows I like it just fine. Windy and foggy, quiet most all of the time.
And that's the very first album that I made 50 or so years ago. And I never, until Highway Troubadour, I never recorded solo again. And it's funny, the first day of stay at home in South Carolina, where Connie and I spend some of the year, I looked at Connie and said, well, we're not going out to dinner. What are we going to do? And she said, I don't know, this feels kind of weird. Why don't you go get your guitar and sing Sugar Babe or something fun like that? And I'll get my phone, I'll make a little video of you, and we'll stick it up on Facebook, and, you know, maybe it'll cheer people up. Maybe it'll cheer us up.
So he loves easy, singing just for you. Only reason he is living, just to try to make his dreams come true.
For the next 3-4 months, all the way into the summer, 4 or 5 days a week, we would do that. And I would have to spend the whole mornings and some of the afternoons making solo versions of songs that I'd written with the band or for a band. And by the end of that, my manager said, you know, you sounded pretty good solo on these. Why don't you make a solo album? So I did. At this age, I don't know whether I want to be that naked, but I'm going to try it. And, you know, if it doesn't cut it, then I'll just put it in the can. But it turned out really well. And I loved it. And I wanted, right then I said, you know what, next time I tour, when the COVID slows down, I want to tour solo. And I want to do it with Jazzie, who was in the process then of working on her second EP. It's called 27 Club. Came out in the summer while we were
Touring.
Touring.
Actually,
Yeah.
kind of while we had COVID, but yes.
Oh, man.
Jazzie, with your daughter being a musician and your son also is a musician as well. So it must be a lot of fun to have great gatherings at your house.
And of course, my older son, Cheyenne, who owns this wonderful espresso place in Marin called The Pump. He is a bass player. Tristan is a bass player.
Ethan's a drummer.
Yeah, Ethan, my godson, is a drummer. And I toured with the two of them, Cheyenne and Ethan, back maybe in the early 2000s. And I remembered my daughter Julie came to I'm trying to think of this club that was near Santa Rosa. Julie came and sang with me there. And then Jazzie and I went off to tour the Northwest.
And you opened for a good friend of yours recently, Steve Miller.
I love him and his band. They're marvelous.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure he agrees with me. I miss Norton Buffalo madly. The first time I opened for Steve, I was living in Hawaii and Norton was still alive and in the band. and God, we had a great time. He came out and played T-Bone Shuffle and Somewhere Over the Rainbow. He's a wonderful player.
Highway Troubadour is the record that I've got in my hand here.
Mhm.
And I've got 10 autographed copies of this, Jesse. Thank you for doing that.
You're
And we're
welcome.
gonna have to figure out a fun way to pick the winners for that, but we will do that and get them to everybody. Can you tell us about your connection to traveling and making music?
It's the way it happens. I mean, and in the beginning, of course, it was just me. And now at the end, for a while, it was just me and my daughter. And 20 years ago, it was me and a couple of sons. And then with T, he put a marvelous band together, and we made an album called Dreamers in Nashville. These were all young people from Berklee College of Music, all of them young geniuses. And it was what a wonderful time it was to play with them.
Jazzie, let me ask you a couple questions. What was the first record you ever bought?
I don't know if I wanted it. I think technically my mom bought it because I was in first grade, but I'm pretty sure it was Avril Lavigne's Let Go album
Oh, okay.
when I was like 7.
Uh-huh.
I remember having a CD of that. I think that was one of the first.
And you still haven't got that CD?
Probably somewhere in Hawaii. I don't think it made the move, but I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in my childhood room. Yeah.
Jesse, what was the first song that you ever wrote that you thought would become a hit?
I never thought that way.
Ah,
Every time I tried to work on something and make it a hit, it turned out kind of to be a stinker. And when I went with just like go after the look at Get Together, which of course I did not write, but fell in love with when I was in the Youngbloods, and
yeah.
And it became, it became my path.
It was an anthem.
But it was, when we recorded it, it was 5.5 minutes. So in those days, a single couldn't be over 3 minutes.
Right.
So
Yeah.
nobody was saying, well, this could be a hit. They just left us alone, and we made an art record. Nobody was thinking about hits.
Jazzie, did you have any favorite Youngblood songs that just stuck in your mind? And when you went driving around with your parents and stuff like that, you would sing?
I think actually I found more of the Youngblood songs, like besides the ones that I would hear him play on tour, but like maybe more obscure ones or ones that I hadn't heard when I was younger. When I was like in my teens, what is the song? It's like Dreams Painted.
Time has painted all my dreams blue.
Yeah, they're beautiful. And like the harmonies with him and Corbett are just like.
Where is the end to all this sadness? Where is the end of you? The end of you.
The boys ever come and join you too?
Only one boy left.
Oh,
Yeah, and that's Banana. We lost Corbett maybe 5 years ago. He was my best friend, and we started the Youngbloods together. We just started playing on the porch, and then he started showing up at my gigs. And he played harmonica. He played 12-string. He was a wonderful finger picker. And he had that beautiful baritone voice that seemed to be the other half of my voice. And that was the band until Elephant Mountain, and then he quit the band 2-3 songs in. But Charlie Daniels produced that album,
oh, great.
and he and Charlie, both Georgia boys, went on to form the Corbett Daniels Band,
Oh,
which was Charlie Daniels' first. I mean, Charlie was in a suit with short hair when he came to us, and he was a wonderful producer. He said, Jess, some guys need you to get behind them and push. And some guys and bands need for you to get in front and hold them back. And you guys just need me to be here.
Have you ever considered bringing back the Youngbloods?
We just lost another one from the Bay Area.
Oh, really?
Michael Caine, who came in. I got tired of playing the bass. I switched to bass way back in '66 when we could not find a bass player. And nobody of who was any good would join the band. So we had 3 guitar players, me, Banana, and Jerry. And they were, both more experienced. I wasn't very experienced with electric guitar. So I said, geez, McCartney can do it. It must sing lead and play the bass, so it must be able to be done. So I went over to the Guild factory, which is right across the river from Manhattan. They had made my beautiful F50 for me. It's a beautiful big acoustic guitar, and bought a Guild Starfire and started to learn how to play the bass. And kind of on stage. We did spend a year at the Cafe A Go-Go, and that was my time of learning and pretending I knew how to play.
Let's go back to the Hardly Strictly Bluegrass Festival, which is coming up again on October 2nd in Golden Gate Park. And typically, there'll be a couple of 100,000 people there for that free concert.
Jazzie will come and join me. And
Good.
We will play a couple songs, including Get Together.
Oh, nice.
That's a complete circle for me. The best music I ever played in the Bay Area was always the free music. The stuff where we'd set up in a park, we'd rent a truck. And I think you could get a permit for $50 to do that in those days.
Yeah.
And just play. And the people who heard us, whether we played in the Panhandle or we played at the Marina or we played a lot of free music, and always something really special about that, because the audiences, it was not transactional. Nobody spent any money. Everybody gave their time and attention.
Do you have a favorite memory of when you lived here in the Bay Area?
I love these roads. I'm a motorcycle rider.
Ah,
And I came from New York, which is riding a motorcycle in New York is a nightmare.
yeah, I bet.
Especially, in New York City, especially where I was living. And to end up in Inverness, Point Reyes, what a thrill. So
Yeah.
there's been 1,000 thrills of all the beautiful places I discovered.
Jazzie, do you ever get on the back of your dad's bike and go for a ride?
When I was little, I think though he would put me in the front, if I remember correctly. When we were really little, he would take us on motorcycle rides, and my mom too, because she rides as well. I rode dirt bikes too when I was little, but I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
I can't now.
Where do you live, Jazzie?
Los Angeles.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very
the
good.
east side. Yeah, I love it there.
Well, I got a chance to listen to some of your new music that you've got out there on Spotify and stuff, and it's very impressive. I'm really
So much.
Is she winning? Is she winning? Does she know it's just the beginning? Oh, I wish I was violent when she's grinning.
Hey, thank you both for taking the time out to do a BAM Zoom call with us, and we really appreciate it. And it's been a lot of fun. I've been looking forward to it for a couple of weeks now, and it was a blast. So thank you again. Thanks again.
So much.
Yeah, our pleasure.